we had some interesting findings. And I'm going to go through 4 different sets of findings that we had. Let me go over some basics first, all right? What we found out, there's a woman named Sonia Lyubomirsky, who's a very well-known psychologist on the West Coast. She writes for Psychology Today. Lyubomirsky found out that where you get your happiness. Now, we're going to talk today about happiness, and we're going to talk about positivity. Let me make that distinction for you. First of all, happiness is all that stuff every day that happens to you is a very positive thing. You know, somebody lets you in on the beltway, right? Or a coworker buys you a cup of coffee, or somebody says something nice. That's a happiness event. You also have these negative events that happen all day, and it sort of looks like the stock market on a day-to-day basis. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. If you trended that over time, say over a day, over a week, over a year, and over 10 years, people have a vector of either positivity or negativity. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah. Who, huh? Yeah, you know some people going this way. You know some people going this way, right? All right, so that vector, the way that where people, the trend, if you will, is your positivity sort of vector, all right? So you're either going, and the way to head up, we found, involves kind of the research that we discovered here along the way. So positivity, think of positivity as being the day-to-day weather, but think of, happiness is the day-to-day weather. Think of positivity as almost like the climate, if you will, all right? Sort of different sort of thing. All right, so Sonia Lyubomirsky found in her research that you get your happiness, your set point for happiness. Everybody has a different set point for happiness. We're not all the same. If you're married, you know what I mean. Right? Everybody, even your mate has a different set point. Your friends have a different set point. Some people are just a set point higher than others. Here's where that comes from. The research shows us that 50% of your set point for happiness, from Sonia Lyubomirsky, comes from your genetics, your parents. So, if you want to blame your parents for something, you blame them for 50% of this stuff. But that's it. You can't blame them for any more than that when it comes to positivity, right? 50% they own. So when you go home today, call up your mother and father and say, hey, I'm blaming you for 50%, but I'm only blaming you for 50%, all right? All right, so where does the other 100% come from? The other 100% comes from this. 10% of this comes from your life events. Your life events. Everything you've ever done in your life amounts to 10% of your happiness. Everything. It doesn't matter whether you were in combat like I was in a war. It doesn't matter whether you had a hot lunch program or didn't. It doesn't matter whether you made $1 million or didn't. It doesn't matter what happened. You only get 10%. So what strikes me funny about that is 10% seems like an awfully small number, doesn't it? Yeah, you can only blame. It only accounts for 10. So no matter how rough you've had it, you only get 10%. That's what shocked me about this number. We checked in the research. This stuff is right. Lyubomirsky is a great researcher, and she's worked with identical twins, fraternal twins, separates, and so forth and so on. 10%. So where does the other 40% come from? I'm glad you asked. Yeah, you can't. It's hard to say, but the other 40% comes from choices. These are choices you make. These are choices you make. These are choices you make. And these choices are the only thing I was interested in when I read this book, or when I wrote this book, rather, because it's the 40% choices that you have control over. It's what I call the swing vote. Did you ever hear of the swing vote in politics? Yeah. So you got 30% of the people are for you, and they'll vote for you no matter how smart you are, no matter how stupid you are, right? I mean, just look at Congress, and you can see that split, right? 30% are for you no matter what. 30% are against you no matter how smart you are, how bad you are, how good you are, how bad you are, right? But it's the 40% in the middle that's the swing vote that every politician I know works to convert. That 40% is a huge number. If you own 40%, if I own 40% of a corporation, any corporation in America, believe me, if I flew into town, the CEO or the chairman of the board would be picking me up and taking me to the hotel and fluffing my pillow and putting a little candy on it. I'm telling you, 40%, if you had a 40% pay raise, it would make a big difference. 40% is a real game changer in the workplace. So it's not, so it does, even though it's less than 50, it's still a very significant number. So that's where your set point comes from. So from this day forward, from now on, everything you do that really changes the game for you at work or at home with your family or your husband or your wife is changed predominantly based upon whether you make choices. I'm going to give you some choices to make today, okay? That's my deal to you.